start the program. Thank you all for being here. My name's Britt Campbell, and I'm the MESC Experiments board member. Thank you for experimenting with us in what has been hosted weeks of digital programming. Today we have Katie Lipsitt, who is going to lead us in a Zen Doodle exercise, and I'm going to let her take it away from here.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. As Britt said, my name is Katie. I'm a teaching artist at LACMA. I primarily work in a program called LACMA On-Site and I primarily work with kids who are between kindergarten and third grade. So this workshop that we're doing, I've done actually for every age, and not just the little ones. I mean, I've done high school, I've adapted it for adults. And the reason I call it a doodle, quite honestly, is just so people don't get freaked out. Because if you say drawing, people really get stressed. And you're going to think this is strange because I'm actually an artist, but I do too. I feel a lot of pressure, when people say, so can I see one of your drawings? I'm like, no, or, hey, Katie, why don't you draw something? And I'm like, do I have to? The pressure is intense. So this is not about like, am I talented? Do I know how to draw? It's none of that. This is an exercise truly, or can evolve into a practice. More like, yoga or piano or an exercise than being masterful. We are going to create a piece of non-objective art today that has no beginning and no end, no up, no down, no correct direction, and no identifiable objects in it, things in it. Now that's the way we're going to do it today. You can do it differently, but that's how I like to do it. And this is really based on something called a Zen tangle, which a lot of people have heard of, which is usually like I think it's a 5x5 square piece of art made up entirely of line and pattern. And when I say pattern, it means it's colored in, shapes, that are repeating. I know you guys get that, but I'm moving it away from that word Zen tangle, because again, I feel like it becomes pressured. I think we're just going to call it a Zen doodle, or a doodle for that matter. So let's first go over the materials. Different people have different ways of doing this. And obviously we're not in a time where you can go shopping. Well, you can, but I don't recommend it. So I personally like to use the fine point Sharpie, which can be found in most people's homes. It's permanent, which is also a key thing, which is why I have newspaper here on my table. Some people like to start with the ultra fine Sharpie for the first shapes. And then you are filling in or coloring in with the fine point. Now, I like these pens, despite the fact that they are ordinary everyday pens, because of their bleed. And that is actually a real term. People are always like, what, bleed? Yes. It bleeds not only down through the paper, which is again why I have some newspaper down, but it also bleeds out. But it can be easily controlled, So Britt, talking about your pens, I don't know if any of them have that bleed. So that's something you're going to want. Otherwise, you're going to run out. You're going to be working, if it's a Crayola pen, you're going to be working and it's going to dry up. What's fantastic about the Sharpie and why so many artists love it, is because of that constant bleed. It takes a while to run out, So these are the pens I'm going to use. And in terms of paper, again, we're in a time where we're not necessarily shopping. So you can use printer paper, but that's pretty thin. So you're going to want to put something underneath again, like I said, newspaper. I have heavy drawing paper. I have 8.5 by 11 heavy drawing paper, which I like. But you know, all I can say is use what you got. Because honestly, if this is an exercise and you're not thinking of it as like, I'm about to make a masterpiece, it doesn't matter what paper you work on. You can work on the newspaper for all I care. You know, I'm sorry not to be, I don't mean that in a rude way. I mean that in a, like, just be free kind of way. If you have colored paper, use that. But we're going to work in black and white today. If you can. If you say, well, I only have a blue Sharpie, well, fine, just use your blue Sharpie. You know what I'm saying? But again, we're dealing with a special time in our lives. So those are our materials. So that's pretty easy. I believe they're in the, is it in the, where do they find the lines and patterns? Okay. So anyway, that'll come up, but I do have some reference for us, for ideas, which will come up. I'll come up later. Okay. So what are we going to do? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remind ourselves we're not making a masterpiece and to just relax already. It's really nice if you can think of either a word or something you want to work on. So for instance, I've been working on a word which has a lot of meaning to me, which is equanimity. It's kind of a hard word. The idea of it being more balanced. This is something I want for myself that I've been working on. So every morning I wake up and I do a meditation and I put that word in my mind and I think about it during my meditation, and it keeps sort of evolving. This is the same concept of what we're going to do. We're going to have something in our minds that we want to work on. So if you can write a word down, even if it's like, I want to work on it this hour, whatever it is, and put it, I'm writing it on my newspaper, so that I see it, because I might forget while I'm working, which does happen. So whatever it is that you want to work on, patience, calm, peace, happiness, less anxiety. For me, this word equanimity is sort of encompasses all those things, because it's like balance, you know, inner balance. It's being my true self, no matter what the situation, and trying not to let that sadness of what the future may or may not hold overtake me. So this is going to be like a meditation drawing, essentially. It doesn't have to be literal, though. You know, like, it doesn't have to be a drawing of that word. It is not an illustration of that word. It's not, you're not writing that word today. I mean, you could, but I'm just saying for our purposes, we're not. It is truly abstract. It's not objective. It's only patterns. It's only black and white, if those are the colors you have to work with. So you can, as you're working, be imagining that what you're drawing is some aspect of your life. And later, since we're a small group, we can share if you like. I'll make one too. So anyway, the first thing we have to do to start a Zentangle, or in our case, a Zen Doodle, is to create a string. This will be the line that will divide the different parts of the art piece, or the different sections where the patterns will be. And I'll show you what I mean. So here is a piece of paper, sorry, that I did a zigzag in. Those dots that I put in there is because I used it for teaching and I pointed my pen there. So here's the different sections. And then here's part 2, if you can see that. I'm trying to get the right angle. And you can see, that's better. And you can see where the patterns are. This is not filled in, right? This is how I like to work. I like to do the first this line that's going to divide it all up, and then put the patterns in, and then fill it in, color it in, essentially. This is not even finished, I think. I don't know. So it can be a zigzag. It can be more like, so for instance, my word equanimity. My word equanimity, I don't associate with a zigzag. Like that feels kind of harsh to me. So I also want you to think about the kind of line that you associate with this word. So for me, equanimity is soft and fluid. It's now yours could be anything. So you could have an X, you could have a zigzag, you could have, like I did, different loopy, swirly things. The idea is you want to have, though, at least, let's say, 4 sections, different areas for patterns. Okay. And then you're going to be working in each section. Okay. Now, this is where the pattern reference, Britt, could be helpful. Is it in the chat? Or there it is. Okay, thank you. So here we have, I made this for a class. Oh, here it is. Look, there it is. So here you have curvy lines and patterns. This is for your reference. You know, let's say you're like, I can't think of any patterns at all. Now, obviously you're adults and some of you even have stripy shirts on. So that's very good reminder. Yay. So you could look at this for a jumping off point or copy them, you know, whatever. So we have one that's curvy lines and patterns and one that is angular or straight lines and patterns. And by the way, this is really specifically sort of child-centric language, you know, but hey, it works for us too. So these can be a reference if you like, but you can certainly make up your own patterns. You can also, again, the patterns, I want them to reflect this word that you are thinking about. You know, so for instance, when I think of equanimity, I really think of equal parts black and white, or all gray, maybe. Although I don't think I can do that with black and white with this material, but maybe I'm going to really work on equal parts black and white. And I think I'm also going to focus more on the curvy lines and patterns because of my association with this word. And so you can think about that as well. So I think, oh, I just noticed I have a typo in there. Britt, I'm going to have to change that. When you're working, I'm going to play music, which on my iPhone, so hopefully we'll be able to hear it. I'm going to play some jazz, and I'm going to start with like a 6-minute Coltrane song, and I'll stop at the 6 minutes and sort of check in with you guys. But part of this is we're just going to work and get the feeling of it. It's a process. This is a process-oriented thing, right? This is definitely not product. So would everyone please take out their piece of paper and first create their string or line that they will begin with? Have you already done it? No. I just realized we didn't do introductions. Maybe when we share, we'll do introductions. You can give me a thumbs up when you've done your string. Okay.
Does it have to be a continuous line, Katie?
No,
okay.
No. It does need to have parts.
Okay.
Meaning, what I mean is, so there's different sections, for different patterns. Alice went to get something. So what did she say? She's going to get a better pen. Okay, she's back. Okay, thank you. I don't know if, I'll wait a second. I will wait a second. All right. If you guys are done, do you want to unmute and or we can go around and we can Britt, will you unmute them or do they unmute themselves? Okay. So I don't know, whoever wants to start. Let's see. Becca, you want to start?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great.
You can also introduce yourself and just tell us like what your relationship is with art.
Oh. Well, I'm Becca.
Hi.
Hello. My relationship with art, there's a lot to unpack there. My mom was a public school art teacher, so I grew up with art and going to art museums and all of that. And I have a dedicated craft art space in my apartment. So I try to do something creative as often as possible. So these have been really fun to actually get me to focus in on a specific project and forget about work for a little bit, which has been really nice. Do you want to see my?
Yes, please. Yeah.
So I've got.
Oh, cool.
This
Would you be willing to share your word?
Yes.
You don't have to.
My word is peace.
Great.
So just something that I'm striving for.
I hear you. That sounds great.
For
Thank
me,
you,
it was
Becca.
similar to your word, just in kind of being flowy and organic.
Nice. Thank you. Let's see. Britt, do you want to go? Or yeah.
Hi, I'm Britt. I would say my relationship with art is maybe what Katie was describing earlier as anxious. I don't find myself particularly skilled in connecting the ideas in my brain to the physical capabilities of my hands. I'm more like a planner of time and space and people. So I appreciate you having it be a doodle. I doodle on my meeting agenda notes all the time, so doodle is not intimidating. My line looks like this, and my word was self-worth.
Nice. Thank you. Alice, do you want to go?
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Yes, hi, my name is Alice. And my relationship with art, I am an educator at LACMA as well, and at MESCca. I'm in the mobile programs
Okay,
at
great.
LACMA. And yes, I love making art. I feel like I just have had so much fun like experimenting with different types of art making during this time. I feel like I'm really enjoying the like playfulness of just learning new different types of making while I'm stuck at home and I need something to occupy my brain. And so my word was balance.
Nice.
I'm like that so far.
Beautiful. Sonia Delaney. How do you say Delaney? How do you say her name? I don't know. It reminds me of another artist. Anyway, thank you. Amanda, do you want to go? I know you said you had internet things.
Yes, I actually wasn't sure what the prompt was. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. That's okay. Well, I just wanted to say hi and tell us about your relationship with art. And then also I don't know if you're actually doing the project, we're making a string to begin our doodles, and it's associated with a word is unstable. But I don't know if you want to participate or not.
I can just describe my relationship to art because I didn't do the doodling. So I remember being in school when I think I was 5, actually in kindergarten, and that was my favorite thing to do was art. And I kind of just sort of ended up in art history eventually and still work in the arts. So to me, I mean, I don't know. I love being creative. And I think, like Alice said, like I'm trying to be more creative right now, especially since I have more time.
I hear you. Thank you. Is it Carolina or Carolina? Yeah. Carolina.
Sorry, I've also been having tech issues, so
Oh, okay.
I need my camera to have more, so I wouldn't have any issues. This is what I drew.
Ooh, that's interesting. I like that.
My word was action. Just thinking about, like, at this time, it's hard. It's hard to keep going sometimes in the midst of, being stuck. And my relationship with art, I've been a fan of art. I almost majored in art history, but I used to somewhat sketch, like when I was in high school. But other than that, I've never felt myself as being artistic.
Okay.
But I do love doodling, so.
Good. Yeah. I mean, the best thing about this is that anyone can do it. And you may even like the outcome, but I wouldn't worry about that part of it. And it could literally, that's what I mean. It's like a practice. This can be a daily thing you allow yourself to do. Not unlike what is that called? Like a gratitude journal or something like that. This is a way to sort of think positively or or meditate on something that you want to work on. So I'm going to use music, and our lives are pretty, I don't know. I have a lot of people in my house, so I find there's a lot of distraction. So music is very helpful for me. And also I can say to myself, I'm going to make art for this song. And then you're like in it, and you're like, actually, I'm going to make art for one more song. We're going to make art for a few songs. I think it'll be 4 would be my guess. But I'm going to stop at each song and sort of check in and see how people are doing. You can just be like thumbs up and keep going, or you can ask a question, whatever. I'm not going to stop for long, but I'll start a new song. Okay. So I'm going to do it too. And I hope that you guys can hear. I'm going to take off my headphones and put my iPhone on. Okay. All right. If I could please ask you to slowly emerge out of your art, cap your pen. Hold on, I'm going to. And you do not have to be finished. In fact, what a great way to have started a practice that you could come back to this whole week. Now you know that was like 8, 9, 10, that was like 15, a little more than 15 minutes of just making art. So even if you allowed yourself 5 minutes a day to work on this, I don't know, for me, I got the whole thing blocked in, but not colored in, in that time. But everyone works differently. So we could go around and share. There's 2 different ways you can do it. You can either verbally just tell us about the experience for you, or you may share your actual art piece that is in progress, unless you finished it, which I would be surprised. And tell us if anything came up, if you were actually able to stick with your word, and if you enjoyed that or didn't. That was a lot. That was probably too much to say, but maybe I'll start and then you guys can go from there. I was thinking about equanimity, as I told you. I've been really envisioning it at very best. It would be like really natural, meaning like organic. So in my soul, in my cells, in my body, I would be balanced. And so I was imagining kind of like things that you would see under a microscope. So wrong side. Hello, I can't do this. These guys look kind of, I don't know, under a microscope, kind of all this sort of weird swirly things. And, but you can see I only began to color it in because it's going to be very dark, because I imagine it's deep inside me at its very best. So that's as far as I got. Let's see, who wants to go next? So let's see, Britt, you want to go next? She didn't do it. You were working. Okay, later, got it. Okay, Becca.
All right, this is mine. I've definitely started drifting from my message, because when I started doing the lines here, I started thinking initially just like about waves and the beach, and then as the lines got thicker, it looked more like a spider web, and then I got distracted by that and started thinking about other things. So I wrote it down over here to try and help me remember. But I really liked it because I just kind of let my pen do all the talking and thinking, and just tried to follow along. And I liked having the one word to try and bring it back to. So I definitely want to keep practicing that and see if I can get it to reflect more of that, intention, as you were saying before. But I thought it was really fun.
Great. Thank you. Alice.
Great. Yeah. I think I was really inspired, or I found it like nice to start with that like initial sort of sketching out of the different parts of my paper, and I sort of let that, I think, inspire me, because I just did lots of like circular things and sort of like wavy lines, a little like
that looks
flowery.
Very COVID. That looks very COVID.
It looks COVID. You're right.
So that's what it looks like under a microscope.
Yes, it does kind of seem very microscopic. But I think, I kind of, it was nice to have that word balance as well, was my word. And I kind of think, I must think of that as very like circular, because I just have lots and lots of circles on my paper. But I found it really soothing to just like let my mind wander, or be really meditative and be really like in the moment, but just sort of practice already of like meditation in which that happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the important thing, Becca, you brought this up, is to not, don't worry if your mind wanders. Don't be like, oh my God, it wandered. No biggie. Just bring it back, and that's how meditation works. You start, doing your shopping list, and then you come back, and then you think about walking the dog, and then you come back, and that's okay. It's still good for your brain. It's good for your body. Amanda, did you do it?
Yeah, I just picked a word. So I picked dynamic. And I was sort of just...
Okay. Would you like to share?
Yeah. So I was just kind of... I know I started the prompt a little late, so I don't know exactly what the original prompt was, but...
Looks like an island.
Yeah. I was just sort of like going along thinking of different lines.
It's beautiful. Do this anyway. We were thinking of like a word, something we want to work on. So, or I think something we want to work on. So there was balance, there was peace, there was equanimity, different things that people want to work on. So that was the idea, but it's fine. You can actually pick a word and just basically meditate on it. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Carolina? You have to unmute.
My word was action, which initially I associated with more like straight lines and so I started with like triangles and these lines, but then my mind wandered, but I didn't let it go back to the word action. I just kind of let it go where it needed to go. Yeah. So I started with these squigglies, and then these squigglies, and then I finally went back to the lines.
Yeah, I like that. There's like parts to the order.
Yeah, but it seemed like at first, as I was writing, like the word chaotic came more to line, but I still tried to find certain patterns within like the chaos. So still trying to do patterns.
Yeah, but it looks like there's like an evolution, as if it becomes the more orderly, heavy pattern. You know, like it starts with something sort of loose, and then it gets a little kooky, and then it gets orderly.
Yeah. Yeah, because I ended up doing this back at the end of like, okay, let's go back to the patterns.
Yeah, rein it in.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. Britt, do you want to share? Oh. That's a no. Okay. Ooh, cool. That's beautiful. I love that.
Well, I think she's going to type in her answer.
Okay.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're on 2 conference calls, so we're just trying to alternate talking.
Okay, sure.
But
yes, please.
yeah, it was really fun. I'm like trying,
I'll
like
edit it
a
appropriately.
perfectionist. So I tried to, this is actually not ordered for me, even though obviously there's like some sense of order, but
Looks
just
pretty orderly to me.
that's me trying to be sporadic.
I love it.
Why I think I don't always get very far in my art making, but I really tried to center back on self-worth and just say that even if it wasn't perfect, that it was worth something today. So that's
Good.
kind of what helped me continue
like
the
it.
practice. And the music. I do have to say that I'm definitely like a music person. And so I sometimes when it like was a really good jazz, I'm like, oh no, this is a whole different drawing, like just like the feeling.
Well, there is that too, is to like, suddenly you have to like draw to the rhythm, you know, you're like, do. Yeah, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's easier to paint to the rhythm. But
I don't think I trust myself with a paintbrush.
yeah, I liked that your thing looked like sound waves to me, which is interesting.
I could see
that you say about the music, because it does feel like the like sound is coming out of your artwork.
Yeah.
And there even looked like there was like little radios or something, or I don't know, little things like that. I don't know.
I don't know either, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
That's good. That's good. Well, do we have a couple more minutes? Is that okay? So I encourage you, rather than just like dumping this drawing, is to leave it and pick a time tomorrow, you know, schedule it in your phone, like 5 minutes to work on it, and just work on that word. And Amanda, if you want to come up with a word that's different, then you might want to start a new piece of work, you know, a new piece of art. But every day it's going to keep evolving, not just the word and your understanding of that word, but the art piece too. And, you know, in time, maybe play around with materials as well. Some people like doing these with pencil and doing shading, or some people like using color, and maybe it depends on the word you're working on, you know? So I think the key to this is to be kind to yourself and not be judging and critical, and just allow yourself to have the experience, whatever it is, and sort of give this to yourself as a gift, especially during this time when you need gifts. So thank you, everybody. I don't want to run over. I guess Britt will give me okay. Okay. But Britt, am I done?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, Katie, thank you so much. I want to share, in case you're interested, as Katie mentioned, she is a practicing artist and teacher at LACMA. So we have her videos for YouTube's LACMA at Home that I can, what does it say in the chat? Oh, thanks, perfect. So in case you want to continue to follow Katie and her practice, oh, sorry, it started from the first slide. Let me advance. She has an Instagram. Here is the YouTube for one of the videos that she's featured in at LACMA at Home. If you are so inspired, we would love to tag your artwork on whatever social media channels you use, hashtag MESCcares. Follow us at official MESC, that's our Insta handle. And hopefully, thank you so much for being a part of our community today. And we look forward to having the next Monday MESCcares program and hopefully seeing some of you again. Did anyone else want to kind of have any sharing thoughts? We have one moment left. No? Well, all right. Thank you so much, Katie, and thank you all for being a part of our community.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Have a
Katie.
good day.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.